We live in the age of material abundance, instant connectivity, miraculous antidepressants, and paradoxically, in the era of the greatest existential despair in human history. But what if I told you that what you call depression is not a chemical disease of the brain, but the desperate cry of a part of yourself that you abandoned decades ago? Carl Gustav Jung, the explorer of the depths of the human psyche, understood something that modern psychiatry prefers to ignore. We are not defective machines that need to be fixed with medications. We are split beings, fragmented, living at war with our own nature. Jung observed that modern man has become enslaved to a persona, a social mask so well crafted that he himself has forgotten who he really is beneath it. You wake up every day playing a role: the successful professional, the perfect partner, the exemplary citizen. But where are you, the real you, in this endless performance? This dissociation is not accidental. It is the result of a system that teaches us from childhood to repress our instincts, deny our shadow, live according to external expectations. The price? A profound melancholy that no antidepressant can cure, because it's not the brain that is sick, it's the soul that is starving. Over the next minutes, we won't just diagnose the problem. We will dive into Jung's most dangerous discoveries. Dangerous because they require you to abandon comfortable illusions about yourself and face the truth about your internal fragmentation. This is a practical manual for the process Jung called individualization, the path back home to yourself. Prepare yourself. For the self-knowledge you are about to receive is not for the faint of heart. The Great Schism, persona versus authentic self. The first Jungian truth. You are not who you think you are. The person you present to the world, your persona, is merely a mask. Beneath it exists an authentic self that you have systematically betrayed. Jung understood that civilization demands a fundamental betrayal from us. To be accepted, we must hide our most primitive, instinctive, and authentic aspects. The persona is necessary for social life, but when we completely identify with it, we lose access to our source of vital energy. It's like living eternally in a theater, never coming down from the stage. Consider the case of one of Jung's most famous patients, a successful lawyer who came to the office with severe, inexplicable depression. Externally, he had everything: brilliant career, perfect family, social recognition. But Jung discovered that at 15, this man had abandoned his dream of being an archaeologist to please his father. For 30 years, he lived the life others expected of him, while his true passion withered in the unconscious. Depression was not a disease. It was the soul's revolt against a false existence. In the modern world, this schism has intensified exponentially. Social media forces us into constant self-curation. Corporate careers demand we suppress our natural creativity. Relationships become transactions where we perform love instead of feeling it. Every time you say yes when you want to say no, every time you laugh at jokes you don't find funny, you feed the schism. Night exercise. Before sleeping, ask yourself, what did I do today that was genuinely mine? And what did I do just to maintain the mask? Keep a diary of this observation. Awareness is the first step toward reunification. The rejected shadow. The gold hidden in darkness. Second Jungian. Truth. Everything you reject in yourself doesn't disappear. It goes to the shadow, and from there, unconsciously governs your life. The shadow contains not only our negative aspects, but also our unrealized potentials, our repressed energy, our lost authenticity. When we reject anger, we also lose passion. When we deny sadness, we block compassion. Modern depression is frequently the result of an inflated shadow, full of unintegrated vital energy. During World War II, Jung observed how apparently civilized people transformed into monsters. He realized that the more someone denied their capacity for evil, the more susceptible they became to it. One of his cases involved a Protestant pastor who developed severe depressive symptoms. In analysis, it was discovered that he had repressed not only his sexuality, but also his righteous anger against injustices. This repressed energy turned against himself, manifesting as self-deprecation. We live in a culture of toxic positivity that teaches us to think positive and suppress negative emotions. But Jung knew there are no negative emotions, only misdirected energy. When you reject your anger, it becomes passive resentment. When you deny your sadness, it becomes chronic depression. When you hide your sexuality, it becomes obsession or impotence. Shadow mirror exercise. Identify 3 characteristics you most detest in other people. These are projections of your shadow. Ask yourself, how do these characteristics manifest in me subtly? Conscious integration of the shadow releases imprisoned vital energy. The tyranny of the collective. When belonging means betraying yourself. Third Jungian truth. The obsessive need for external approval is the root of modern neurosis. You have become enslaved to collective expectations. Jung identified that modern man has developed a pathological dependence on external validation. We lost our internal compass and began navigating exclusively by social expectations. This submission to the collective is not harmony. It's the death of the individual. And a dead individual cannot feel genuine joy. Jung narrated the case of a woman who developed inexplicable hysterical paralysis. During analysis, it was discovered that she had spent her entire life making decisions based on what her family, church, and society expected of her. Her psyche had literally paralyzed itself in protest against this voluntary slavery. The cure began when she found the courage to disappoint others to be true to herself. Today, this tyranny manifests in the obsession with likes, the need for constant approval, the inability to be alone without entertainment. You choose professions that look good on a resume, relationships that photograph well, opinions that are socially acceptable. But where is your unique voice in this deafening chorus of conformity? Conscious solitude. Exercise. Spend 30 minutes daily completely alone, without devices, without entertainment. Just you and your thoughts. Observe the discomfort. It reveals the degree of your external dependence. The ability to be with yourself is the first step towards psychological autonomy. So far, we've established the fundamental pillars of modern fragmentation. You've understood how your persona became a prison, how your shadow was banished to the unconscious, and how your need for external approval transformed you into a stranger to yourself. These are the roots of the melancholy you call depression. But diagnosing the problem is just the beginning. Now we will enter the dangerous territory of individuation, the process by which Jung taught his patients to become whole again. The techniques you're about to learn are not for the faint of heart. They require you to abandon everything you thought you knew about yourself and embark on the most challenging journey of human existence, becoming who you really are. Confrontation with the unconscious, dialoguing with the unknown. Fourth Jungian truth. Your unconscious is not your enemy. It's your neglected partner. Healing begins when you stop fighting it and start dialoguing with it. Jung revolutionized psychology by proposing that the unconscious possesses its own wisdom. It's not a dump for psychic garbage, but a source of creativity, intuition, and guidance. Depression frequently arises when we cut off our communication with this deeper dimension of ourselves. It's like trying to navigate an ocean while ignoring the underwater currents. Jung developed the technique of active imagination after a profound personal crisis at age 38. He began consciously dialoguing with figures that emerged from his unconscious, sometimes wise, sometimes terrifying. One of these figures, which he called Philemon, became an internal guide who helped him develop his most important theories. Jung realized these figures were not hallucinations, but personifications of unconscious aspects of the psyche that possessed autonomy and their own wisdom. In the modern world, we've completely lost this capacity for internal dialogue. We fill every moment of silence with external stimuli, music, podcasts, social media. But it's in silence that the unconscious speaks. Your dreams, your spontaneous fantasies, your sudden intuitions are communication attempts from this deeper dimension. Internal dialogue. Technique. When you feel anxiety or melancholy, instead of trying to suppress them, ask directly, "What are you trying to tell me?" Write the question and let the answer emerge spontaneously, without censorship. This is the beginning of active imagination. Integration of opposites, embracing paradox. Fifth Jungian truth. Psychological health doesn't come from eliminating internal conflicts, but from conscious integration of opposites. Jung realized we try to resolve our existential anguish by choosing sides, being always strong or always gentle, always rational or always emotional. But the psyche is naturally paradoxical. Psychological maturity consists of developing the ability to contain opposing tensions without needing to resolve them immediately. This is the difference between neurotic simplicity and healthy complexity. Jung worked with an executive who had developed a severe ulcer due to constant stress. This man had built his entire identity around being strong and in control. During analysis, Jung helped him recognize and integrate his vulnerable, sensitive side. Paradoxically, when he stopped fighting his vulnerability, he became genuinely stronger, and the ulcer disappeared. Modern culture forces us into false dichotomies. Success or failure, happiness or sadness, introversion or extroversion. But Jung knew we are all both, and much more. Depression frequently arises when we deny half of our nature. The workaholic who denies their need for rest. The positive person who rejects their natural melancholy. Opposites exercise. Identify a characteristic you consider yours, e.g., I'm a rational person. Spend a week consciously exploring the opposite, allowing yourself to be irrational, emotional. Observe how the integration of opposites creates a richer and more authentic personality. The path of individualization, becoming indivisible. Sixth and most important Jungian truth. Individuation is not selfishness. It's the sacred process of becoming whole, unique, indivisible. Jung discovered there's a natural impulse in the psyche toward wholeness, what he called the archetypal self. This is not the inflated ego, but the complete personality that includes conscious and unconscious, persona and shadow, masculine and feminine aspects. Individuation is the birth process of this wholeness. It's literally becoming an individual, not internally divided. Jung documented his own individuation process in his most personal book, The Red Book. For years, he plunged into the depths of his psyche, confronting primordial fears, integrating rejected aspects, dialoguing with archetypal figures. This process nearly drove him insane, but also transformed him into the most influential psychologist of the 20th century. He realized that individuation is simultaneously a death of the false self and a birth of the authentic self. Modern society offers us 1,000 ways to avoid individuation. Constant entertainment, consumerism, codependent relationships, careers that define our identity. But Jung knew there are no shortcuts. Individuation requires us to face our existential solitude, our mortality, our ultimate responsibility for ourselves. The Individuation Project. Commit to a practice that connects you with your deeper self. It can be art, writing, meditation, dream analysis. Dedicate daily time to this practice, treating it as sacred. Individuation is not an event, it's a lifelong process. We've reached the end of this journey through the depths of the human psyche. We discovered that what you call depression is, in fact, your soul's revolt against a fragmented existence. We learned that your persona has become a prison, your shadow an untapped source of energy, your dependence on external approval, a betrayal of your authentic self. But we also discovered the keys to liberation: conscious dialogue with the unconscious, courageous integration of opposites, and the sacred path of individuation. Jung showed us we don't need to be fixed. We need to be reunified. We don't need more masks. We need the courage to remove them. This knowledge is a double-edged sword. Individuation is not a comfortable process. It requires you to destroy who you think you are, to discover who you really are. It may lead you to disappoint people, question structures, walk alone when necessary. Use this wisdom not to become narcissistic, but to become authentic. Not to dominate others, but to free yourself from your own chains. Jung knew that an individuated person is simultaneously more independent and more capable of genuine connections. When you stop seeking in others what you can only find in yourself, paradoxically, you become more available for real love, meaningful work, authentic contribution to the world. In the comments, share which of these Jungian truths resonated most deeply with you and why. Your reflection can illuminate the path for others who also seek internal reunification. If this journey of self-knowledge and individuation resonates with your soul, subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the deepest territories of human psychology. Here, we don't offer superficial solutions, but invitations for real transformation. Your like is more than a gesture of approval. It's a sign that you understood that the path back to yourself is worth any difficulty. And maybe, just maybe, you're ready to begin it. Remember, you're not depressed. You're disconnected. And the most important connection you can make is with who you really are, beneath all the masks the world has forced you to wear.